Hey, yo, is that an MP7 there? It's actually an AAP01 with an MP7 body kit. How is it built? It was 3D printed. That's insane. Yeah, awkward. Okay. 2 years of having this microphone and I figured out how to use it correctly without pulling my shirt down to here. You see this gun? It's not an MP7. It's called the meme gun. It's actually an AAP01 with an MP7 body kit. Now, how did you build it, you may ask? Everything you see here on the gun, except for the gun, the sight, and these two metal bars, started its life in a liquid form and was printed using a resin 3D printer. Now, there's a lot of things to go over about this gun. Let's take a look. First of all, you might notice that the mag kind of goes down like that. Technically, it probably should go at an angle according to the handle itself. This piece here is actually put on the bottom of the AAP01 mag. Pull this part down here and then you just slide it off forward. Now this is a little bit loose on this mag because this isn't the exact dimensions of this mag specifically. The only thing is that it wiggles. You kind of hear that. You might have seen the script and thought, hey, that's not 3D printed. Well, it actually is. You can see the lines. I thought he bought rails and put them on, but everything here is 3D printed, even this barrel. Now the reason why this comes off is because normally you'll have like little screws that you put in there to tighten it. I just didn't add those on. It's also got this little finger grip so that your finger doesn't go past and then you lose finger. The original color of this whole thing was black, but we kind of wanted to go with red accents, so the rails are red. Now this thing should be either black or just its base color of silver, just because the paint is rubbing off on that, so good lesson. I also thought this piece was rubber because it just feels like rubber for some reason, but 3D printed. Now the stock itself is actually pretty comfortable. The only thing here is just because I don't have the internals is it's a little bit wobbly. It just feels like a mini version of an MP7. It feels a little bit better than a normal MP7 just because it's smaller and lighter weight. It's held together by these hex screws with little nuts on the other side, which actually work pretty good. We built it ourselves, so it's more satisfying. Now, unfortunately, I went with the tan AAP01. Originally, I thought, hey, I don't have a tan gun, but that was kind of a dumb idea because it looks really weird. The only thing that's missing on this gun is the little stock lever thing that you pull up and you can push the stock out. I don't have that in here just because I need the spring for it. These two pieces are actually just straight pieces of metal that John essentially attached to the back piece there. You can have it super short, which this build is actually smaller than an MP7, at least for the WeTech MP7. Oh shit, don't leave your sights on. Now the cool thing about 3D printing is if something breaks, you can just print it. If you guys want to see the whole printing and building process of this, check out the main channel. Link will be in the description. And for the most part, I wanted to keep it a secret. It could be a good YouTuber reaction and be like, wow. So you got your two rails at the side here, which are the normal size Picatinny rails. And then you got the whole long one on the top here. Now I put a Kill House Weapon Systems red dot. Now I did have a smaller red dot, but something like this makes a little bit more sense because if you have something low, your face goes on the bar, but like this one is actually high enough to work for this one. Now I'm gonna have to see how accurate it is because the whole body could technically be warped, which would mean that this sight isn't even aligned. The good thing about resin printers is everything is smooth. Like if you look at this body piece here, this is super smooth. There's no printing lines and you don't really have to do too much sanding. Now safety on the AAP01 still works, so don't worry about that, but I doubt anybody even uses it. Obviously, mag release, slide release is still easily accessible. Now, John wrote meme on the gun, maybe because his name is John the Meme. Now, this is basically a prototype or first build or whatever you want to call it. We wouldn't actually sell this version just because it's a work in progress. There's some changes that do need to be made. Now, I do have a couple people that want something like this, which is definitely doable, but I think at least for the main body, I might use PLA or maybe resin again, but at different settings. Charging handle right here. Pull it back like that. Essentially like a normal MP7, you lock it forward and it works. Oh, there's actually gas in there. Now, one downside I didn't actually realize to this, with the AAP01, underneath here is where you actually access whether it's full auto or not. In designing this print, you can make a hole so that you can put your finger in there and switch it. Most likely, you're gonna want this in full auto anyways, unless you like to conserve BBs. You may have noticed that there is cracks that John had fixed with some glue, but that wasn't the result of printing. That was because apparently his dog jumped on the table when there was lightning and then this got knocked on the floor. It's not going to be as tough of a build quality as normal gun plastic would be just because it was printed from a literal liquid or from a string on a reel. So if you do end up doing something like this, if you accidentally drop it, you may have cracks and shit. If you melee somebody in the face, you're probably going to damage it. But then again, you're paying like $5 for basically an MP7. I don't know how you beat that. Now the main problem, which is maybe from the printer or maybe because I accidentally smacked it off a desk, is this giant crack that goes underneath. It goes all the way over here and then it goes to that side. It could also have just a lot of stress on it. Maybe this piece was warped a little bit and when he screwed it on, it kind of bent it. One thing about resin, they don't have too much flex, so I'm guessing that's what happened here. Another downside I've noticed is that this whole thing moves a little bit. We'll be able to dial in the print a little bit better so that we can actually get a more secure fit. On a normal MP7, this piece doesn't come back every time you shoot it, but for this gun, because this is the way the AAP works, we have to keep in mind that this thing's always moving. Don't go like this. These red rails, it looks like they have little screws, but they don't. It's just in the print apparently. But at least for the grip, like this thing is perfectly fine. It's nice and sturdy. There's like no flex on it. Eventually we're gonna have a website where we print stuff like this, angled grips or any custom airsoft gun piece, and even body kits like this. We're gonna print it. You guys can buy them off there. And I want a big-titted anime woman as my mag piece here. So can you print that? Yeah, we can print that. We chose the AAP01 to do this with because we looked online and there's more AAP01 stuff that you can do. You can make this COD Zombies ray gun. You can make this into a Star Wars gun. You can literally make this into basically anything. I sent John a PDW file and then John couldn't find it, so he made an MP7. And of course I forgot to bring the MP7 out here today, so here's the difference between the MP7 while I get this fucking thing in here. Well, I think it's about time that we take this thing out for a nice test shoot. Technically, you could just have a weirdly big looking handgun. All right, so that didn't go back all the way. Oh, fuck. We got our first break. Now that's just the piece that was already coming off. Look at that. It's just like straight up resin. It's crazy how this can come from a liquid. This is a good educational piece. So my face is right here. This thing's gonna push back right into my face. What the hell? We get a jam? So from just shooting it in single fire, it seems like this thing here might be rubbing up against something on the internals. So unfortunately I am using a lighter weight 0.2 gram BB, so these aren't gonna be the most accurate anyways. I'm pretty sure this barrel is definitely affecting the accuracy. Normally shooting this AAP01 would be pretty straight, and maybe if the BBs were a bit light, they'd kind of slightly go up. Okay, so I made this full auto. I'm a little scared. This gun is gassy. The gas ran out? Wow. All right, so the AAP01 confirmed runs through gas like a cunt. All right, so full auto worked and nothing else broke on it. We only lost the back piece because that happened, so transition to some point in life.
Now, since I forgot the MP7 in that last video when it was like summer, here it is. And I got the AAP MP7 kit back, and it's worse than it was before. A lot of time passed since I did the testing video. This kit got thrown in a box and basically moved homes. I have to put electrical tape on here to keep it on and keep it closed. On the mag piece here, you'll see that there is a chip here. That's because it turns out if resin doesn't cure properly, it gets very brittle and it ain't as flavorful. I didn't connect this because I don't have the screw for it. The weight of this MP7 is a lot heavier. So already you're getting a lighter MP7. The grip on the kit is just the AAP grip, which is actually a lot nicer because as you can see, look at the difference in grip sizes. Can you even see that? The MP7 is actually pretty thick, so it's definitely not as comfortable. Look at this shit. That's your grips there. Now, obviously the mags are completely different. There's your difference. It tries to keep the curve that the MP7 has, but it kind of fails. So the stock on the MP7, obviously a little bit nicer because it actually works. The AAP stock is a little bit smaller in length, but it still feels relatively good. Yeah, they're pretty close. And then obviously thickness, the MP7 is a lot thicker. If you have an AAP01, but you also want an MP7 and you don't want to spend a shit ton of money, we can eventually make you an MP7 kit and then you can just have an MP7. This is lighter, more ergonomic, a little bit smaller. It just feels overall better to hold than it does the actual size MP7. Probably honestly the best alternative that you can get. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that. Look how warped it is. This inner barrel goes in that much. The AAP barrel ends right here, which means that you have all this space of nothing, which is enough to throw the BB off target. So technically what I could do is just throw that in there, cut it like kind of at these pieces or even out here. And the AAP01 to MP7 story has multiple endings. So you got ending number 1. John makes a mold for the original print and makes it out of aluminum with melted pop cans. The second ending, we just remake it out of the resin, and instead of having a dog jump up on the table when there's lightning, we won't have that at all. Therefore, there should be no cracks and no warping, mainly because we have a machine such as this that spins the object and has some lights and cures it.